Hi, everybody, and welcome to WatchHaus. Thank you so much, first of all, to these guys who did so well without me last week when I had no power in my house. So first of all, shout out to them. You guys rock. But also, just so the audience is aware, we do have a little bit of technical difficulties tonight. So thank you for bearing with us. You do get to see our lovely Game Haus logo, though. It's got a nice aesthetic
So
to
good.
it.
So pretty.
Yeah.
Purple.
But to start things off, let's start by resetting our watch. And Thibble, do you want to take us off by telling us what you've been up to this past week?
Man, boy, have I been up to some stuff this past week. I've been stabbed by a small child. I have been interviewing people, talking, kind of feeling around the Overwatch scene. Lots of news going around. Is any of it real? We have no idea. But like all the rumored signings and moves and stuff within the next couple weeks here, we're going to start seeing some big changes to the league. So I'm very excited for that. I've mostly been keeping my ear to the ground in that regard, rather than writing too much stuff. Although I did put out a couple breaking features, like about Rascal, who was, of course, signed to the San Francisco Shock, who is making some money moves, as the kids say. So that's what I've been keeping up on this week.
So we're just going to brush over that you were stabbed by a small child. That's just going to get one sentence in the intro.
Not Overwatch related. I just wanted to make sure people knew. I have been stabbed. It was not like very hard, so we're all good.
And on that note,
so I've been working on some things this week. Oh, sorry, technical difficulties here.
You're dying.
Good.
Come back.
Okay, am I here?
Yes,
I think so.
Guys, I'm working with a jank setup this week. But yeah, so been working on some stuff. Can you guys hear me still?
You're doing good.
Okay, great, cool. Sorry. Been working on a few things this week, so I've been trying to recap the World Cup qualifiers we got. Kind of do little report cards for them. I feel like school is kind of let out right now. It's like the Overwatch summer. We have this break before BlizzCon. Nothing's really going on. The kids are all running wild, signing free agents, making new friends. So it's kind of time to look back and give some report cards to the qualifiers. So I've been working on that. Got the next three coming out rather, this next week. So the big thing, not stabbed by any small children. So that's a plus. And yeah, to get going.
Sounds like a pretty good week. So last week I was lucky enough to interview Peggy Morai Ford, who does a lot of production with Overwatch Contenders, Overwatch Open Division. So if you haven't read her story, it's definitely a really meaningful take to people who are just getting started in esports. Helps you remind yourself what's truly important, your health, and not getting stabbed by small children. But also, I have another great interview coming up with Colorblind. She is a top 500 Bastion main who is, as her name would allude, colorblind. And it was also, once again, very moving to discuss all of the changes that have come in the PTR recently after good old Jeff's developer update. So very excited for you to read all of that. But of course, this week, we are all, as you might guess from Thibbles, where we are excited for the Overwatch World Cup. We've actually been arguing quite a bit behind the scenes about this, but we're going to go through each matchup of the World Cup and see if we agree, see if we definitely don't, and discuss who at the end of the day will win. So
how do we want to do this, Katrina?
Okay, so trying to find the way that makes my picks chosen, but I'm just going to be nice tonight. So let's start by going through each quarterfinal first, starting with France versus Canada. So, Connor, what do you think about France versus Canada? Who do you think is going to win?
So I think this side of the bracket in general is going to be a bunch of really good Overwatch, honestly. I think this is no exception. Well, a lot of people are pretty high on France right now. I'm actually going to pick Canada to win 3-2. So that's my pick.
Oh, okay. And Thibble, what do you think? Do you think Canada is going to win too?
No, not even really. No, just no. Like France displayed a level of dominance over the remainder of their group that not even the glorious United States of America could express over Canada. The amount of depth and Overwatch League experience, their coaching capability, their flexibility, their sheer mechanical skill. France, while not my pick, I'll spoil this, while not my pick to win it all, will definitely give us quite a show. So I'm picking France to win 3-1 over Canada, only giving up the map of shame, map 4 that does not matter. So there's my pick.
I will have to break this tie between you. I'm sorry, Goopy. I think France is going to win. I think they're going to win 3-2. I think it's going to be very close, and Canada will surprise us. But let's change things up a little bit. Fibble, I have a task for you.
I'm ready.
Even though you do agree with me. Oh my God. I just love looking at you right now. This is brilliant.
Yeah. I do agree with you right now for this one instance. Go ahead.
Yeah, for this one instance. I want to listen to both Connor and my arguments about why France will win or Canada will win in his interesting case. So, Connor, since you are in the minority, do you want to take the stage first?
I suppose I can. Guys, what's all this about? Canada clearly has had to face more trials, more competition so far. Now, even though they didn't win against the United States, as Brandon's apparel can display, is so dominant right now. We couldn't have expected them to beat the U.S. We couldn't expect anyone to beat the U.S., honestly. Maybe and the rest of the group, they just absolutely dispatched. It was a pretty dominant group besides the U.S., and France, on the other hand, while they were dominant, did so in a group where, it was a pillow fight. There just wasn't much of a tough opponent. I mean, the UK was kind of their closest thing, but I think Canada so far has shown that they can compete with a team like the US at a high level and a team that is so good as well. So that's why I'm kind of leaning Canada over France. It's going to be tough, but that's where I'm.
I agree in that I think it's going to be such a difficult matchup, especially when kind of backing you up a little bit on why Canada can be a bit more dominant. We did see just excellent coordination between XQC on Winston and Scherfer on Sombra when they were on Anubis against the United States. There was a moment where Team Canada was really thriving, communicating very well. And with Mangachu on the Doomfist, there is that synergy that you were talking about. However, I mean, with Team France, yes, they did have an easier group, but they have a better team. You look at Soon, his play on Anubis. You remember all of those Widowmaker shots? They're keeping, I believe it was the Netherlands, just in spawn the entire time. And we aren't even getting started on Poco's bombs right now. Not only is there just so much Overwatch League talent, I feel like France didn't have to show all of their cards during this group stage because they were so above and beyond the rest of the group. Like with Canada, yes, they did reveal some more strategies going in when they were up against the United States, but France was just pretty much sticking a lot to the GOAT's triple tank, triple support composition, and I don't think that they had to show any real major strategies. They have the skill necessary to overcome Scherfer on the Sombra, who has been outstanding. So overall, this was one of the hardest picks for me. I don't blame you, but for picking Canada, but I gotta say, it's gonna go map 5 in favor of France.
Oui.
All right. After hearing both sides of the argument here, my answer has shifted slightly. I predict France will not win 3-1 versus Canada. France will win 3-2. There you go. I'll give you an extra map. But I just don't think it'll go any other way in the end. I agree that France did not have to show anything at all when they were playing against the UK, the Netherlands, Italy, Germany, who I definitely didn't predict to qualify for BlizzCon ever, because that would be ridiculous.
Me either. No way.
No, neither of us. No, none of us. No. Perfect prediction records. It's just they have a ton of depth and experience, and they're the most recent players to qualify, so they've seen the most footage and have given us the best show in terms of adaptation to the current meta. and are no doubt still working between now and BlizzCon to make sure that they keep that advantage. No other team has 4-0'd their fellow qualifier, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong there, on their way to BlizzCon. And I think France definitely did. They 4-0'd UK. So I don't think Canada has a chance.
Fair enough, guys.
So
Thus my verdict.
So I think you two will have a fun time discussing this next one. Yes, two of us are representing the United States quite proudly. And if we go on to the other side of the bracket, they're going to face off of their earliest rivals ever, the United Kingdom. So, Thibble, who's going to win?
Man, do we even have to talk about this one? It feels like such a waste of time. The UK are like a group of preschoolers who have been given access to a PC bang, and they all of a sudden think that because they can tell which colors are on the screen that they can win the game against the United States. When in reality, they're just kind of like, they're doing that thing in cartoons where they're like pushing against the guy who's like way bigger than them, and they're like flailing, and the guy's just kind of like holding their forehead without moving that much. That's going to be the US versus the UK. Like they're gonna sit there and they'll be like, this is it? Didn't we like, this is less intense than like the end of the Revolutionary War, which was basically just a series of treaties. Like, why are we even here? Why couldn't we have just skipped this? Can't we just get a bye? And in reality, it will pretty much be a bye round for the US. It's going to be an easy 4-0 clap, my doggies, as XQC might say. There's no other way this goes in my mind. No other way.
All right. Connor, do you agree with that?
So I heavily agree with that. The Lanimals are on the loose, but luckily for us, this analogy just broke down because I realized Steve Irwin isn't really American, but he represents America, and he's going to handle the Lanimals. We're going to channel the spirit of Steve Irwin here. This is a far reach, guys. Holy cow.
Australia's playing South Korea. You got the wrong matchup.
God, every time.
You got to go back.
USA 4-0 over UK. It's not going to be close. There's going to be some goofy composition the second or the third and fourth game. USA is going to have sealed it. It's going to be wacky. Wacky good time, mate. Australia again.
Points for commitment to the already wrong analogy there.
But moving on, I do kind of agree with the two of you. Of course, USA will defeat the United Kingdom. There's just, look at space right now is one of the best, if not the best off tank in the world. That is a bold statement, but I'm willing to back that up. But right now, I'm going to give a little bit of faith in the United Kingdom. I think it's going to end up being a 3-1. I think that the United Kingdom has a little bit of fighting spirit, as we have seen in their Twitter. It's been a little interesting, but no, I can't see another 4-0 going into this round, except for one that we might later discuss. I have a bit more faith in the United Kingdom. They're going to want to make a showing at BlizzCon.
Oh, sure, they're going to want to. They wanted to make a showing at Lexington Concord and Chesapeake Bay and a few other revolutionary battles that I can't remember, even though I'm a history major. Like they've wanted to make a showing throughout the history of the British Empire. Usually doesn't work out that well. This will be no exception.
Oh, anyways,
I'll stop yelling about the UK.
Anyways, I lived in the UK, so I have to defend them a little bit. But we will go back to the other side of the bracket and now discuss, I think, the match that might be the most exciting in the entire World Cup: China versus Finland. So I'm gonna take the first hit here because I have a feeling I might be on my own. So my good friend Vowels might be very excited to hear that I do think that China will defeat Finland 3-2. You two might think I'm crazy, but we'll discuss this a little bit later. Let's hear your scores and predictions first. Connor, what do you think?
So I think, like you said, this match might be the best match of Overwatch in the whole tournament. I think this right here could be. So this is said, I don't know how it's going to go. I really don't. But if I had to pick, my gut instinct is going to say Finland is going to win 3-2. it just seems like we got to see them compete against South Korea, and we're going to talk about this more in a bit. But I think for them to have that showing there and in their group stage there, I think they look really good. Might have the edge over China. I don't know though. It's gonna be close.
What about you, Sybil?
I think there's a lot to be said for the fact that Finland is the only team to have come close to beating South Korea since, of course, we did last year. We came very close. I think it speaks volumes of Finland's capability. Is that a flash in the pan, or is that actual consistent performance? We will find out right here, Finland versus China. China is probably a very similar style to South Korea in terms of their gameplay and comm structure and whatnot. So Finland will have to prove that they can maintain that consistency, but I think they will be able to, because Chinese and South Korean Overwatch often relies on planning. And this is our plan. We're going to run through this fight, establish these conditions. Finland says, no, Taimu's right over there. You're not doing anything except dying. We're going to knock the train off the track. We're going to bounce the ball against the wall, and you're not going to know which day it is or where you are. So I think if Finland, big if here, if they can maintain that unpredictability coming into this matchup, like they did against South Korea, it's looking good for them. If that was just a one-time thing, and now everybody's downloaded Finland and they're just really aggressive, it's pretty close. I gave this a 3-2 myself, but it could go either way. I'm not nearly as confident, but I want to be, because I think if anybody's got the chance to give us a truly great grand final, well, one of those teams anyways, I'll get to the next, is Finland. So I would like to see a 3-2 from Finland against China. Will I see it? I don't know. This one will be close, and I'm excited.
I don't think you're going to see it. I think, of course, when we did see the Bangkok group stage, that was the most intense, evenly matched competition that we saw throughout 4 stages, and China dominated everyone, including Team Sweden, who have been placing 3rd in both former World Cups. Gushue is a star right now, being able to absolutely dismantle any opposing team on that Winston. We've seen so many excellent primal rages, especially his against Australia, in Nepal, like just getting all of those squishies, being able to take out that Hanzo last second. I mean, he is a joy to watch as a tank main. And also you have to remember there is so many DPS options coming in. You have Leave, you have Crystal, who's Dragon Blade on Anubis, I think it was against Sweden. Just, there's so much coordination on Team China right now. Excellent communication, and they have so much to prove. In that, when people think of Chinese Overwatch, they think of 0-40 Shanghai Dragons. There are 3 new Chinese expansion teams. Team China is going to want to represent their country and will have to defeat Finland to really get that great reputation back again. Watch the tank matchup between Fraggy and Gushue, 2 very aggressive tanks. I'm just going to give the edge to China because I think Gushue has more versatility on both the Reinhardt and the Winston, whereas Fraggy truly shines on that Reinhardt.
Okay, I suppose we'll see. This one we're all pretty tied on, I know. It's going to be super close.
And I think all of us believe that the person who wins this will go to the final, but we'll get to that. There's one more quarterfinal to discuss in South Korea versus Australia. Do we have to spend a lot of time on this one, guys?
Well, what is it, Katrina?
Yeah, I'm saying a 4-0 in one direction. Who am I saying is going to be the winner?
I mean, you did.
Why don't we tell the chat which matchup we're talking about?
All right, so
because it sounds to me like Australia versus South Korea.
It is Australia versus South Korea, and as much as some of my friends do love Custa, I'm sorry, guys. South Korea, 4-0, no competition right now. I mean, Carpe is just going to destroy Custa every single time he flies in on that Mercy. I feel a bit bad saying that it's going to be such an extreme result. Trill has been outstanding on the main tank for Australia. It's just you've got a team full of superstars on South Korea. What else are you gonna do other than lose 4-0? So, Connor, what do you think? You did say that you did think it was going to go 4-0 as well, but for who?
All right, so we've got the 4-0 locked in, 4-0.
Ooh.
And unfortunately, just as bad of an accent as I'm doing here is as bad of a performance as we're going to see from Australia in this matchup. They're not even going to be able to keep it close. South Korea's going to wipe right through them. It's going to be brutal as the outback is, a tough climate. South Korea 4, Australia 0. That's it.
Please never do that again.
Please do it every episode.
Which result? Well, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree with the results, but not the accent. It's not going to be close. It's not going to be pretty. The LA Valiant won't have any cool BlizzCon material to make because it'll all just be Custa crying on stage. You can't publish that. It's not good for a team's image, you know? Like, they're going to have to throw it all away, much like Australia has done by getting picked against South Korea in the first round. Oof, it hurts. You hate to see it, but man, yeah, this isn't going to go well.
That's brutal. But I mean, speaking of the LA Valiant, though, just to show just how well-rounded this team is, look at how many of their players have made it onto World Cup teams. Yes, you do have Custa. You have Space, Agilities. Kareev was on not the top 7 for South Korea, but was in the top 12. Valiant has so much talent, and they've really all shown during this offseason. During those matches, do you think that there's any individual players who you'll be watching for? Let's start with France versus Canada. Who's your most valuable player you think that you should watch during this match? Let's start with you, Connor.
It's tough. I mean, I think Ben Best is one that I'm going to be looking for, the main tank for France. I think he had an extremely good qualifier. There were several times. There's one moment I think I can remember on Oasis where the fight was lost. UK was pushing back. It looked like France was going to lose, and then Ben Best just charges in and takes out 3 of them, and they win the fight. I don't know if we have the clip or not, but Ben Best throughout the whole qualifiers looked so good. I think he's going to be on an Overwatch League team next year, and he's going to be going up against XQC. That's going to be a crazy good matchup, but I think Ben Best has the potential to get the best of him here. So the Ben Best, if you.
Aha! Funny joke.
Who's your player to watch during France versus Canada?
I think it's gonna have to be Surefour. I don't think there are very many teams that I can say anybody else besides the Sombra player right now in this meta. Although I have a couple picks for main tank. XQC was my other option here. I think just she's too important of a character to ignore who's playing her, right? And Surefour has already, before she was good, he's established himself as one of the best Sombras and one of the best flex hit scan DPS in the world. I mean, winning the Widow 1v1 in the All-Star game, generally popping off all season long in the Overwatch League. He will need to keep that going if Canada has any chance. Not that he can't, not that I have any doubt about that, because they did very well together. I believe we have a clip of XQC and Surefour tearing it up together on Anubis. So the two of them are my picks to watch because they're going to need to be perfect if France wants any chance against what I consider a more stacked roster in France.
Yes, I think those two are. I think those two are definitely players to watch as well. And before we go into the semifinals, let's do this one more time. But talking about China versus Finland, because let's be real, USA versus UK, South Korea versus Australia. I mean, it's
nothing to see. Move along.
I won't go that far, but maybe a little.
Yes.
But speaking of China versus Finland, I'm going to be excited to see what Linkser comes up with. I think he's had some very excellent play. Shown a lot of versatility. He didn't really play a lot of Tracer in the Overwatch League, but he has been doing well on that Tracer during group stages. But the main stars here that I want to look at for Finland, even though I do believe that China will win, are Zappis and Fraggy. They build off so well on each other. The synergy is brilliant, and on King's Row, they showed that to the extreme. Yes, we are very excited to see Big Goose and Shaz, but these two tanks, I think, are the ones to watch in that matchup. What do you think, Connor?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Big Goose with some more big boops. I think he's kind of in his prime right now in this meta. I think he can play characters he's good with. You've mentioned a lot of the other ones that I think are going to be big for Finland as well, but I'm looking for Big Goose here to have a good series, kind of come into his prime, have some more big plays, some more Big Goose plays, if you will.
Stop.
Man, it's rough tonight, guys. It's bad. They're falling flat.
So
Things are
overall,
rough for you.
Gotta keep trying. Yeah.
guys. So overall, we think South Korea, USA. The two of you think Canada?
France.
Oh,
You
France.
think
Thank
You and
you
I think
guys.
France.
Yeah, I'll take the loss on that one. We can take France as our one for the watch
Okay.
house. That's
And then the two of you think Finland, and I think China.
It's okay to be wrong, Katrina. It happens all the time.
Oh gosh, but I let's talk about the semis before you move on, okay?
Yeah.
sure, yeah. Great.
I'm not ready to compromise yet. So let's talk though first about the semifinals. So we all agree that the United States will face South Korea, and I think it's kind of obvious what's going to happen next. Bibble, what do you think is going to happen next? I mean, just tell me what I want to hear.
God, it's gonna be the most glorious thing you've ever seen in your entire life.
Oh no, we
It's gonna
disagree,
be
don't we?
such an outpouring of freedom and justice that the world may never truly recover. It's gonna be everything I want and more, which is mostly just the US winning in any capacity. I don't care if it's 3-1, I don't care if it's 3-2, I don't care if it's 4-0. If it's 4-0, I will do something terrible. I don't know what, but I will probably let you guys decide what I do if the US 4-0 South Korea. I will climb up on my roof. I will frickin' tear my hair out.
Muma tattoo.
We'll talk about tattoos. I don't know if I want to fully commit to that one, but if the US
4-0.
can make this a 4-0, which I doubt, we'll talk. My pick for USA versus South Korea was that they win 3-1. The US wins 3-1. It could easily be a 3-2. I would love to be confident and say a 3-1, but a 3-2 is by no means out of the picture. I am confident that the United States, they get their revenge, and 1,000 years of golden prosperity reigns over the world of Overwatch forevermore. So let's go. Hyped for that match.
Goopy, you gotta talk some sense into him. What do you think's gonna happen?
All right, I'll talk. All right, so you're crazy in thinking that South Korea is going to win a map. I think USA easy. All right, not easy 3-0 or 4-0, but I think it's not out of the realm of possibilities. The US will 3-0 South Korea here with a tie in there. I think this is the most dominant US team we've ever seen. I think possibly the South Korean team has a lot of superstars, but they did show weakness against Finland, and Finland created chaos. No one's better at creating chaos than the US of A. I think USA's my official prediction is that they'll win 3-1. So I'm right with Thibble on this one. But I think it's not out of the question. Maybe even expect 3-0. I don't know if I'd go as far as a 4-0, but a 3-0.
You guys are insane. Like, oh my god. Like, all right. So the last time I was on this show, you were talking about having a Bastion and a Torbjorn with only a Mercy for heals.
Yeah, I know my Overwatch. High game sense.
He certainly did say that, didn't he?
And you both predicted Germany to move forward.
Okay, now that was
mostly out of spite.
I wish I could say the
I
same.
haven't forgotten the revolution, okay?
All right.
Bad read.
I swear on this Reinhardt that I will I will. I don't know. I don't know. You guys are insane.
Put that right.
South Korea is. Sorry, I'm genuinely kind of shocked. South Korea is the best team in the world. Been the best team in the world.
What's it like over in 2017 there, Katrina?
Yeah, this is the future.
All right, so we've got Fate, who has a phenomenal wrecking ball. Excellent main tank as well. We've got Carpe, who almost single-handedly led the Fusion to the finals against the London Spitfire. Sabi Olby. Consummate team captain. I mean, you guys are legitimately insane. I'm shocked.
Right.
South Korea is going to beat the United States. Yes, the United States are phenomenal, but it's going to be a 3-1 victory for South Korea. I'm throwing that out there. And if it is not a victory for South Korea, I will oh god, I would even go as far as saying I would get a tattoo.
Tattoo.
I would. I'm seriously like
Of the eagle, will you do it?
not of an
Of an
eagle.
eagle with a flag.
All
Seems
right,
like a good idea.
deal.
Also, Madam
Wow.
Chairman, point of order. Point of order here.
Yes.
Let me do a Golden Girls style story. Let me take you back. Stage 4, 20 whatever year this is, 2018, current year. The New York XL, hot off a fantastically dominant regular season, get a bye week coming into the Stage 4 playoffs. They play Minecraft and don't take anything seriously and are immediately removed from the playoffs, only beating the glorious Dallas Fuel in a total rigged upset. South Korea, Bangkok group stages, they did really well, but now it's been many weeks since they last played on stage. Are you worried, perhaps, that they've not had stage time since whenever that group stage was, which was quite some time ago? Like, you need stage time to stay ready. You do get rusty. South Korea will be at their weakest. And it's not like they get warmed up by kicking the crap out of Australia. They're basically still playing Minecraft at that point. So they're looking a little shaky. They're going to be rusty. They're going to be out of sorts, out of practice, out of options, out of time.
You're out of your
Dead.
mind.
Yeah, all right, Spider-Man 1.
But no, I will seriously get temporary tattoo if South Korea does end up losing, which they will not. Now let's go into the left side of the bracket where we all kind of have a couple of disagreements going on.
What? Us disagree?
I know.
Wow.
But Connor and Thibble, I'm gonna just kind of decompress after hearing so much just lunacy. Can you two decide who you think is going to move on from the left side of the bracket semifinal? Is it going to be Finland, China, France, Canada? Who's moving on?
So I think Connor and I agree that the semifinal matchup here will be Finland versus France. I have picked for that matchup Finland winning 3-2. And correct me if I'm wrong here. I'm pretty sure that's the right matchup. I think if Finland has proven at this point that they can beat China, the other C team with an A at the end. If they can beat China, they can beat France. Because I think all those teams on that side of the bracket are much closer to one another. So I think proving that you can beat one in the quarters is a good chance for you to beat another in the semis. So I'm looking for Finland to maintain their aggression, keep France off step, kind of make them drop their baguettes, and then, coast to the grand finals.
Okay.
What do you think, Connor?
All right, so I think this one is going to be really close, whoever's in it. It's China, Canada, China, France, Finland, Canada. Any one of these games is going to be close again, like the previous. I personally have Finland playing Canada, and I believe I have Finland winning 3 in a close one. It could be France, it could be Canada. I think they're going to beat either one of those teams 3-2. I think if France is in this, France is going to win. France is going to have to capitalize on their aggression. We've seen high-quality teams in the qualifiers be extremely aggressive, pushing spawn constantly. France did this in the qualifier. USA did this in the qualifier. To me, this is a mark of a good team that is coordinated enough to attack constantly on defense and back up when they need to if they feel like they're getting kind of counter-pressured. If France can do that against Finland, I'm not sure Finland will be organized enough to handle it. But we talked earlier about Finland's chaos. I think Brandon said it exactly right. I think Finland is a team that can catch you off guard, keep you off your mark. France is a team that likes to be systematic. I think if Finland can get them off their mark and kind of counter them and keep the chaos coming, I think Finland could do really well here and win 3-2. Again, this one I really think is going to be a great game as well. So I'm like I said, I'm officially going to take Finland 3-2 over, I think, Canada. But if it's France, I think same result. Um,
All right.
Okay.
Well, I thought China would make it this far, but I mean, since the two of you really do seem to care about Finland and show a little bit more logic in that pick, I think overall, WatchHaus left side of this bracket will end up going to Finland. I'm comfortable with compromising. I'm still just you're delusional still about South Korea, but if Finland does go to the grand final versus the United States, as you two say, would Finland have a chance to win, or would it go our way?
This one's difficult because Finland making it to grand finals is what we predict, obviously, but would be a huge statement. It would say we are the dominant force in Europe and perhaps the world, perhaps. And there's nothing you can do. They've established that they're not just a wild card, right? They've established that their method of aggression and disruption is so pervasive that it cannot be adapted to at this point. The US will have to be the ones to adapt to that or to one up them in terms of aggression. Do I think they can do that? Hell yeah, because Sinatra's on Reinhardt and anything can happen and dreams can be real. So I think Finland, of course, gives them a hell of a show. But my ultimate prediction for Finland versus USA is going to be a 4-1 in these guys' favor. It's just, I don't think that their system will work against the US because that team is comprised of players from 3 Overwatch League teams that all thrive on chaos. The Shock and the Outlaws to a degree and the Gladiators all use styles that involve disruption and coordinated aggression. Finland, of course, their players also have experience with that sort of play style, but not to the level that the players from Team USA have on a more consistent basis. So I think with the coaching advantages that US has over Finland, and then probably the player experience advantages that they've developed between LA and BlizzCon, we're looking pretty good. I'm pretty confident. Not that I'm biased or anything by any means, because I'm not. I'm totally not biased.
you don't look biased
at all. No, I'm not. But yeah, 4-1 USA.
All right. Goopy. do you agree with this prediction?
So again, me and Thibble are kind of on the same wavelength right now. So I'm not thinking it's going to be quite a 4-1, but I do think USA is going to win 4-2, and kind of here's why. So I think exactly what Brandon said is right. I think the aggression is going to be the key for the USA. They can kind of out aggression Finland. I think it could be really good for them. But I think one thing the USA has with a lot of these players is a really high game as well. You have guys like Muma, Raucus, and I would say even Sinatra have this kind of keen understanding of the game that allows them to just, I feel like, know more what's going on at every moment than their opponent. I think this is going to be a huge thing for Team USA. The other thing I think is going to be really big is Raucus. I think Raucus had an incredible qualifier. Ana is back in the meta in a very big way. And there's no one better on Ana right now, I think, than Raucus. I think he is the number 1 Raucus in the world right now. He's the number 1 Raucus in the world right now.
There's no Raucus better than Raucus.
There's no Raucus better than Raucus. But no, I think he's the best Ana in the world right now. I think he's hitting sleep darts. He, like I said, with his game sense, part of it's the team he's playing with. He's able to play Ana around players who also know what they're doing with the Outlaws, but I think that's also going to be the same for Team USA. So these things together, I think all are just going to blend really well for USA, and I think it's going to be a 4-2 over Finland. I think it's going to be a great final. I think it's the kind of Overwatch that we're going to love to watch. It's going to be a lot of aggressive defense, a lot of pushing to spawn, and then who can be more composed in that spawn moment to either come out from spawn and take over and counter, or just keep the composed aggression on. So it's going to be a good one, but I'm giving USA 4-2.
I mean, what do you think, Thibble? Sorry.
No, you're fine. I think having interviewed Sinatra and Uma, and with an interview with Zachary coming up here in a bit, by the way, I think it's going to boil down to comms, because aggression and disruption are entirely dependent on communicating what you want to do. Aggression without communication is something the Overwatch community likes to call feeding, which is bad. You don't want to do that. And Sinatra and Muma and Raucus and all the other guys know this and have discussed this and do discuss it mid-game extensively. I'll post the interviews here in Twitch chat with the two of them, but both of them, I asked them about their comm structure and how they maintain within the chaos of the style that they're pushing. They knew exactly what they've been doing and why they've been doing it, which is a big thanks to Arrow, who has no doubt been schooling them on how to keep their composure, as Mickey says, take a breath, and just thrive in the chaos. And the Outlaws are known a little more for playing a bit passively, especially according to Sinatra. But I mean, early stage or early season Outlaws were the progenitors of like this chaotic structure of Jake just jumping in and clicking until things die. So these guys are the OGs of establishing dominance through aggression. They have perfected it. And that style will be the style du jour of BlizzCon. No one's better at it than them. USA is going to win. I'll post those interviews right now.
So while you're doing that, so the two of you are agreeing. And being the good friend that I am, when we're submitting our overall WatchHaus bracket, I'll surrender my pride and let you guys have USA winning. As long as if you are wrong and South Korea beats you guys, I need to come up with some sort of bet here. Oh my gosh.
Maybe we should put it to a vote. We establish a couple options and then put this on a Twitter poll and then have people go at it for like the next week and just figure out what they want.
All right.
I'm sure they could come up with some terrible things that we would eventually have to agree to.
Please PG-13.
Oh yeah, I mean nothing, guys. I mean I can't freaking. Dude, I don't even know actually what the depths of the internet might give us, but let's keep it reasonable.
All right. So Goopy, I'm gonna let you be the evil person first. If you guys are right and I'm wrong,
Okay.
what do I have to do for the next episode of the WatchHaus?
Okay, if I had to pick, I've tried to do some accents on this show, and it seems like I've been since I haven't failed yet. So I think, in light of our 100% accent perfection rate, I think that if USA wins, you would need to continue that tradition. Me and Brandon would get to pick an accent for you to do for an entire episode. You would have to host one episode, and if it goes really well, maybe you just do the rest of the show like that. You just change your persona entirely. We'll talk about that. Maybe we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But at least one episode of an accent. That would be kind of my. I think that would be great.
I hate
USA
you.
won.
I hate you. Brandon, do you agree with this punishment?
I think that's perfectly charming. I think that would be lots of fun.
All right. Well, if South Korea wins, and they will win, if they win the entire tournament or if they beat the United States, where are we placing these stakes?
I think it has to be the grand finals. I think it's all well and good that we disagreed on that semifinal match,
You guys are so
but the
screwed.
kicker is that they have to make it to grand finals and then win grand finals too, because that was the stipulation for your bet as well.
I totally agree.
Okay, so if South Korea does win grand finals and everything, you two have to sing a Disney duet.
Christ, what kind of duet are we talking?
I don't know. Do you like Love is an Open Door and Frozen?
No.
I've never seen it.
Don't.
You have never seen it?
Can we do Lion King or something?
All right,
my
Lion
favorite.
King I accept, but you do
I
have
don't
to
know
sing on
any
stream.
duets.
You do have to sing on stream for at least a minute. That's pretty kind.
I'm a big harmony guy, Brandon. I'll let you take the melody.
Oh no.
Really big harmony guy. Big.
Yeah. Okay.
right.
Yeah, you know
That's
what?
fair.
I'll do it. I'm not gonna have to worry about it because it's not gonna happen. So.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing, and I'd love to see Katrina do an accent for a show. So that's really just what I'm looking
What are
forward
you
to.
thinking?
I gave you 1 minute of singing, and you
French?
give me an entire. Sorry.
Finish. We'll see.
Finish.
Maybe one segment. If she's going to complain about it, maybe we'll lessen it.
If it's like a three, maybe it's contingent on how badly the USA beats South Korea or whoever they win.
That
is true.
I'm fine with that.
If it's a 4-0, maybe it's
you're
all
fine
season.
with that.
I don't even know why I'm upset because I'm not going to be wrong. But anyways, that's pretty much what we think is going to happen with BlizzCon. 2 of us are going to be embarrassed. 1 of us will, as usual, be correct about predictions.
You're right. It's me.
But anyways, so as we go into, speaking of predictions, what do you think is going to happen this next season of Overwatch League with all of these new teams? Do you think that there's been a couple of new acquisitions as well, as we have seen Florida Mayhem especially making some pretty big changes? Is there anything that you're specifically looking forward to in season 2? Let's start with you, Thibble.
I think, well, first off, talking about the bare hands move, I think that's one of the best moves the Florida Mayhem could have made. Bare hands is a phenomenal mind. He is integral for Team USA. He established New York Excel as we know it, more or less. I mean, not single-handedly. He had support staff, but he was a driving force in some of the most dominant games we've ever seen. So really huge move from the Florida Mayhem, bringing him in as an assistant general manager. I guess they're still confident in their general manager, which is great, but I expect him to run the show in Florida, and I expect Florida to be much better for it. A lot of the moves that we've been seeing have been rumors from a source. It's a source, all right. So I don't know if I believe them yet. Like most of the time, they all seem fairly reasonable, but I'm not quite sure if I'm willing to throw my hat in for them. I think it would be cool. Like, I like the idea that Paris is going for a European team. I think obviously they're one of the only teams to do that. London. So it's going to be good for them to not do it right, because obviously London won and whatever, fan base is a construction and nothing is real. But I think it's good that Paris is acknowledging, like, yeah, we want locals. We can do that. We're Paris. We do everything better than you, smelly Americans. Bonjour. So good on Paris. If those moves are true, and if they are going for a full European team, I'm cool with that. Otherwise, we're just going to have to wait and see about a lot of these other free agency moves. They look cool. Are they real? I don't know. Give it a couple weeks and we'll find out.
I kind of want to switch gears a little bit in talking about, I suppose, manufactured fans. But Goopy, you're a Houston fan, right?
I am a Houston fan.
And
big time.
Why is that? Why are they your favorite?
Yeah, so I became a Houston fan kind of a weird way, So I do live in Waco, Texas right now. So I'm technically closer to Dallas, but I started playing Overwatch when the game came out. I wasn't super familiar with the early Apex scene, and so I just kind of got into it at the beginning of Overwatch League. It's kind of my story into this whole thing. And I don't know, I just kind of started watching them and how they interacted and the way they interacted with fans and each other and the way they played, and I was like, I like Houston. They're totally my team. And if I would have lived in Florida, or if I would have lived in London or Washington or wherever, I think I would have still been a Houston. It just kind of happens to be that in Texas. And then meeting the players at a signing event just kind of bolstered that. But so for me, it's just a genuine, like these guys. I think they're cool, and I think they play the game well. And yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of how it happened for me. I don't think it was necessarily anything to do with proximity, but that was me. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Chicagoan, and Houston, although they aren't my favorite team anymore, they were at first, because I really got more into Overwatch through these World Cup events. Like, I come from a sporting family. We're obsessed with anything international. Like, my Christmas gift when I was little was a DVD about the Olympics. So I was obsessed with World Cup, and a lot of the Team USA players who I really enjoyed watching, like Cool Matt, ended up on Houston. And I like that I was more familiar with those players. I had cheered for them already. But as the season went on, I've always had such respect for players such as Jaehong. He is one of my favorite players ever, and I was also familiar with the Seoul Dynasty thanks to World Cup. And you were talking about the personalities of the players. The content that came out of Seoul, I just remember there's this Secret Santa video where all of them gave each other like sweatpants and sportswear for Christmas, and it was just very endearing and sweet. So not only the personalities, but just the incredible play coming from Seoul made me love them so much. And no, I'm not Korean. No, I'm learning how to speak Korean, but I'm not very good yet. But they still can be my favorite team, even though I am thousands of miles away. What about you, Thibault? Why Dallas, and why is it because of Siegel?
I was gonna say, I think you know why I'm a fan of Dallas. My fan state is in a bit of flux right now. I'm kind of just waiting. I'm surveying the land laid out before me, like Simba and Mufasa at the top of Pride Rock. Dallas is kind of that shadowy place right now. I don't know if I want to go back. But Mickey's there. I like Mickey a lot. And Harry Hook is really cool too. He and I talk from time to time, and he's a great guy. And in general, I followed, even before I followed Siegel on Luminosity in 2016, I was following Team Envious, which was far different than it was when we saw them turn into the Dallas Fuel. There was a point where there was a Team Taimu and a Team IDDQD with a lot of those players on it. And I followed all of those teams. So to watch them go through the monthly melees and all these little tournaments and everything and stick with it and maintain and establish dominance in a scene that had no dominance really, except Cloud9, which no longer exists in that capacity. It was cool to just watch the progression. So Siegel was the icing on the cake, of course, for Dallas, but in reality, it was about history. I was fully ready to support the London squad when it was Cloud9 NA with like Surefour and Adam and like way different people than we see now on London. I liked London. Well, and here's the deal. In season 1, I liked many teams. There were far more teams that I liked than that I disliked. I liked Houston because they were Team USA, and I'm kind of all about that. I liked Dallas because of Siegel and Envious. I liked Lunatic High. They were one of the most dominant franchises this game has ever seen. I liked what GC Busan and Kongdu Panthera were doing before they became London, except for the part where they beat Runaway. I wasn't really happy about that. I appreciated the effort that the Misfits put in Europe before they became the Florida Mayhem and then disintegrated. LW Blue was there too. They existed. I'm a history guy. I'm a history major. So I didn't look at these teams necessarily in terms of locality, but more in terms of what they had done that I had seen and what I thought they could do. Dallas was hyped up early on as the team that would take down Korea. Did that happen? Absolutely not. But it was fun to watch them try for like the first week, and then they struggled and they struggled and they struggled. Oh, but then in stage 4, they got it back together, and it made it all worth it. Beating the Valiant in the playoffs, that was what I wanted all season from the Dallas Fuel. Took me a while to get it, but I got it. So that's why I was a Dallas fan. Not because I live in Dallas, because I live in the middle of California, and there is no team for me, because San Francisco doesn't count. I'm a Dodgers fan.
Well, but seriously, bringing it back to traditional sports, do you think that there's a difference between how people have chosen the teams that they love in Overwatch League, for example, and the teams they support in, I mean, I don't want to say real sports because
Traditional
traditional,
sports.
yeah, traditional
Flesh
sports.
is a good one.
Flesh sports.
Yeah, flesh.
I don't know. What do you think, Goopy?
For me, they're pretty similar, but I think for the general public, I think they're vastly different. I think that most of the time you really kind of anchor down and you align with a hometown team, and you go to all the games and all of that. But because of this, especially Overwatch League in its infancy, there isn't a home stadium right now. You watch the games on stream, and there's only the one stadium in LA, or if you go to Brooklyn for grand finals, but there's not like that home feeling yet. So I think that it might get there eventually. If you have a stadium in Arlington, you might see more fans in that area root for the Fuel. But I think it's kind of special how this has started, where people are just fans of the team because they choose to like that team, and it's kind of up to them, and they just like the team that they like the best. And so I think it's definitely different than traditional sports. I think it's been cool. It's kind of been its own thing in its own way. Um, will it change in the future? Maybe, but I think it's been a really cool way of organically kind of starting for fans. So at least for me.
I think the fan culture right now is like nothing that exists in any other sport or competition or anything like that, because it's such a mix of the league trying to localize but still riding off the momentum of pre-localization, pre-franchise teams, right? There were teams that existed that were picked up and converted. Envious, Lunatic High, GC Busan, Kongdu Panthera, and so on. 2020, season 3, I should just say, will be the beginning of a traditional fan culture being established. Local stadiums, local events, lots of local ticket sales, fan meetups, no having to travel to LA unless you're a Valiant or Gladiators fan. Like that's where it begins. We can't really hit that point until we start having regular local events. We've had some, like the Outlaws went to RTX in Austin. That was great. Dallas, the Fuel have gone back to Dallas. The NYXL did a whole bunch of stuff during grand finals time, and so on and so forth. All these teams have done it because that's a huge goal for Blizzard and the Overwatch League coming into season 3. They need to hit the ground running. They need to activate local ticket sales and fan engagement and all that stuff, because that's what will make the Overwatch League more than a 3-year, 5-year deal. That will turn it into a decades-long institution in perpetuity, right? Like they need to be able to establish that sort of fan culture, one, because it's cool, and because that will establish, like, yes, we are legit. We're not just a bunch of nerds hanging out in one spot on our computers. We're real sports athletes people. And 2, it'll make them so much money, like a ton of money, a ridiculous amount of money. So that's what they want. That's what the fans want too, which is good. It's good that those two coincide. And ultimately, we will be better for it. It's going to take a bit, but once we get there, whew, it's going to be so good. I'm really excited for that. Season 3 is going to be huge.
I can't wait for
season
that.
3.
I mean,
Season 2 will also be good, by the way.
Season 2 is going to be awesome, and I can't imagine where season 3 of WatchHaus will be when that all happens. Who knows what will be going on? I'm excited to go on that journey.
You'll probably have killed me by then. I'll be dead.
I'll have several tattoos after losing bets.
Yeah, we're just gonna be covered in tattoos.
We're doing this high stakes this early. Who knows by season 3?
Yeah.
Let's.
I don't want to. I have anxiety. Let's not talk about that anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, would you look at the time, guys? It's 6:20 p.m.
Is it
Pacific.
time to go?
We have hit about an hour, and I think it's just about time to go before anybody pulls out a knife or a tattoo gun.
All right. Keep your 4th grader class out of this.
Yeah. No.
Oh my gosh, but seriously, thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. Do you agree with our bracket? You should not, because it is crazy. But I'm excited though, nonetheless, to watch BlizzCon with these guys. It's always fun to debate and talk with them. So thank you again for tuning in. Thank you, of course, to Robert, who makes this all possible. You're the best. And to everyone, good night.
If you liked that, hit the subscribe button for more interviews and other great sports and esports content. Make sure to also like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter to stay up to date on all the news from your favorite sports and esports players and teams. From our house to yours.